guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Lab Podcast. Today I have with me Kel, and I'm
Hello,
Cody,
hello.
in case you've never listened before. Uh, so, first of all, I'll just introduce the topic so we don't forget because we tend to do that. So, it's basically things that we love or hate about the fitness industry. I think maybe 5 things specifically. We might come up with more or less. I don't know, but we'll talk about you know the good things and the bad. So yeah,
Yep.
sit tight. But until then, Kel, how's it going?
Oh, it is going good. Really busy week here, but finally feeling better. Got it through it. So, but it's also been like crazy rainy. It's been rainy, like downpour raining, like I feel like for the last 5 days here. So
Oh man,
that has been weird.
that sucks. That's
Yeah, it does.
not great for you know the depression. It's been sunny here, luckily. um I think we're heading to the spring season of will probably be mostly sunny, but I could be wrong.
Mhm.
But then comes summer, and then we get to just complain about how hot it is.
It's so true.
So
At least, like I don't know. We are always really wet this time of year, and but it's kind of crazy because it's all floody around here.
mm,
But whatever. I'm okay.
well,
At least things are greening up, which is pretty fun. So I
yeah.
like driving around and seeing things more green and alive. But I'm guessing that you don't deal with as much of that.
Yeah, we definitely have, spring. Things are green versus brown and dead looking from the winter. But then it turns back to brown and dead looking in the summer because it's just so fucking hot and dry. Mostly drier heat here, so it's just like everything just shrivels into hay. So that's fun. Including skin. It's just like shrivels right up and peels off your face. But at least sunshine. It's a mood booster. So outside of the weather, what else is new with you? How's life? Yeah.
Life has been hectic, man. I feel like it's going a million miles an hour. I don't know what happened, but this past week really was just caught me off guard. I don't know.
I don't know.
It, it was weird, but yeah, I've just been working a lot and getting my butt kicked.
Hmm.
Powerlifting, coaching powerlifting again, so that started back up this week,
Oh, nice.
or not this week, a couple weeks ago, but really hitting our stride, and it's about like 45 to an hour away, so
That's a lot.
it's a lot.
Definitely a lot of driving.
But
Uh,
it's fun. It's fun. I love it. I enjoy powerlifting. I really like working with the Special Olympics, so that's been nice.
Very cool. Yeah.
How about you,
So,
man? What's new?
uh, you know, not much. Still kind of settling into the new routine of things. Getting the office a little more organized. I have this really cool way of just like avoiding it. I finishing it, completing it because it has to do with going through more boxes and then like trying to figure out where to put things. I'm just like, oh, I hate that. I just hate it. But it's getting better. I think my last like 3 boxes are like right behind me.
Nice.
So haven't put anything on the walls yet, but we'll get there. So
Literally, as you've seen, I just put stuff on the walls, so you're doing okay. We're sneaking up here on like I think we're just over 6 months. So you're moving a lot quicker than I did. So.
it takes a while to like get your energy back from moving in the first place. And then just like caring enough for decorations. Because you're
Yeah.
like energy, you have to like really when you're just spread thin, you have to think about what I like to spend the next like 20 to 30 minutes trying to hang something on the wall, or would I like to spend it, possibly relaxing or, doing something other than thinking, using my brain. So then it just
Yeah.
gets longer and longer. You keep avoiding it, and then you're just like, I'm just that guy who never puts things on walls. Okay.
Yeah. I don't. And it's okay. We'll get to it when we get to it.
It's
And
true.
what's the point?
No
Don't
rush.
stress out over the little things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, speaking of stress, do you want to
Yeah.
talk about the latest events in the world or the
The
US at least?
latest craziness. Well, I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like this is gonna affect everybody. So
definitely, definitely. Um, yeah. So, how about
so we
them
were
tariffs?
yeah, so we were gonna talk about the tariffs and market's reaction to the tariffs. Um, so do you want me to just go over the changes, kind of like bullet point?
Yeah, for sure.
So so we Trump is just this is going to start imposing 10% baseline tariffs on all imports, and then higher tariffs on specific countries. South Korea is going to have a 25%. Japan's going to have a 24, and then a 20% on the European Union. The idea here is to boost domestic manufacturing, but he kind of forgot that we don't really have very much domestic manufacturing, and we're kind of really fucked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's that's one of the biggest problems. I would love to say the thing is, there's some people who just die hard trust in what he's doing,
Yes.
but it's a very small amount of people. Uh, yeah, it's just like tariffs have never really gone well. They've always
No.
caused a recession. And I think when he ran on this idea, it was crazy because he was pairing it with, I'm going to get rid of income tax. We're not going to have taxes. We're just going to use tariffs. And that is obviously not realistic. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are just like, yeah, that's just fucking crazy. So I think there's a lot of his own base that even really didn't expect him to do it. If like,
Well, they
not
didn't
to
know
the
what
extent.
it was. Also,
Yeah,
like that was one of the the big headlines after the election was that they didn't understand what tariffs were. That was like the most Googled search thing after the election.
yeah,
So I think it's clearly they just maybe they didn't know it was going to happen, or they didn't think it was going to happen. But I also don't think they knew or predicted this impact that everybody else was like, well, duh.
yeah, yeah. And it was interesting to see a lot of conservative commentators even voice opposition or concern, at least, which is, I feel like that's a lot.
Yeah.
There was a clip floating around of Ben Shapiro talking about it with concern, and even said the words possibly unconstitutional, like as far as the tariffs go. And I was like, what the holy shit? Ben Shapiro just said that. So I feel like that was pretty huge. He was trending there for a bit. I haven't checked in on what is happening now, but that was what happened on the second or the third or something along those lines. But there's a lot of conservative commentators that were very popular in like through the election or even the last election through 2020 in the COVID era. Obviously, Ben Shapiro has been around forever. Well, not forever, but a long time. And then, of course, we all know or don't want to know. There's Candace Owens, and she flipped on Trump as well in a different way for different reasons that are just its own bullshit. But it's interesting, to say the least, that there's definitely been some shifts happening, and it's like they didn't wake up for the obvious reasons. They're just now waking up for this one.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Well, and then on Friday, was it Friday that it happened? I think, yeah. The Dow Jones dropped over 2,200 points, which is the worst day since the pandemic. The SP 500 and Nasdaq both also fell. It's estimated that the U.S. lost 6.6 trillion in market value, which is pretty insane and
yeah,
terrifying.
yeah. uh,
And I saw like Warren Buffett said he was going to pulled all of his money or something like that, or sold a lot of his stock, to not lose it in this insanity, which means he's probably going to buy it back when it crashes.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It is just insanity. It's everything just feels so on fire, and
not in a good way.
And that we're gonna go, like, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Still, is what it feels like. And it, to me, at least, from like the people I know, people I've talked to, even clients, like no one has money, and now it's like everything's gonna get so much more expensive.
Yeah.
So,
which was everyone's base argument with this election, was like arguing over grocery bills and gas prices, and it's only going to get exponentially more expensive. And now the people who are arguing for better prices for groceries and gas are like, it's for the greater good, take my money. And it just doesn't make any sense, because a second ago you were mad about the prices, and now you're like, it's okay, it'll pay off in the end, it's fine. And it's just like, what are you smoking?
It doesn't make it. No, it's just brainwash bullshit. I don't know, man. Like, it's just such a bummer, and such a. It's so hard to care and look out for those folks who just seem hell bent on going down on a sinking ship.
Yeah, and it's one thing. I just feel like it's a dangerous territory, no matter what side you're on. If you cannot critique whatever party you voted for, that's a problem, because it's okay if you disagree with some things that, you know, the party or the president that you voted for, there's never going to be one person that you're like cool with completely. So just to like blind follow someone, and even maybe if deep down you're kind of panicking, like, holy shit, like this isn't good, but I'm going to double down, I'm going to believe in what he's saying, stuff like that's religion, that's ideology, that's not like, you know, just politics, just normal life.
It's not democracy, for sure.
No. And it's just like, y'all are just like, we have faith in our great leader. And it's like, wow. Okay. That sounds awful. It sounds like you just would love for him to be a dictator. So, cool, but I'm not here for that. But it's the mental gymnastics that just throws me for a loop. Like, I wouldn't even, I feel like if we could all just have actual discussions and not just double down anytime there's a disagreement or there's something that, you know, either side that we don't agree with, it's like, I don't know, we fight just to fight, even if there's something that maybe we secretly don't agree with, but we just want to prove a point or be right or something, and then we get nowhere. And yeah, that's the part I find most exhausting.
Yeah, I get it. I did see, I was at Tractor Supply yesterday, and because yesterday I went to run errands, and I know this is super exciting content, but we went to Menards, and there was an old man with a outlaw. It said outlaw on the back, and it had Trump and JD Vance and cowboy hats, and so saw that, and then went to Tractor Supply, and someone in the parking lot had a car with a red baseball hat on it that said, "You're in a cult."
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness, perfectly describes the town I'm living in.
I mean, yeah, so, which also kind of comes down to, I don't know if we want to switch gears to the protests or if we want to talk about the tariffs some more. So yeah, protests are happening all around the world. There was some that happened in my town, in my hometown, which it's the same county. It's a big county, but it's like really big. Yeah. But so to have protests happening in a red county that was decent size was pretty encouraging to see. Just to be like, all right, cool, like, we're not alone. We're not just the crazy ones, wondering what is happening. But there were some big crowds showing up everywhere. I don't know if you had any in your town or what you saw.
Yeah, we had one in town, and then we had one in they were all over the state of Ohio. So, actually, a couple weeks ago, the town I live in now had unanimously voted as a sanctuary city for trans folks, which was really cool. So our town is blue. Our little county was blue, even technically, or I don't know if the whole county was. But anyways, we're in like a sea of red because we're in southern Ohio, like very near West Virginia. But yeah, they had a pretty good turnout. And I like a lot of older folks, even not just young, pissed off people, which was really good to see, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely not something I would have expected to see, like especially in the town that I grew up in, which is very conservative. Which also, speaking of, I think I mentioned last time how Bernie and AOC were going on tours, like Fight the Oligarchy tour. They're fucking coming to Auburn, like my small ass, like hometown. They're coming to Auburn, but we're going to be in Vegas. Like that's,
oh gosh,
I know. It's like, really, and so it's like they never do rallies in California because they always just figure California is going to be blue. We don't need to waste our time. But it's scary because with everything going on with Newsom and just all the bullshit that has happened this year, there's actually like genuine concern. Obviously, they're coming to California, which is a state they usually think, nah, we don't gotta worry about. So for them to come to California is slightly concerning, but also like cool that they're coming to Auburn. I just wish it's like the one time I'm gonna be gone, right? So it's like I just wanted to scope it out, because I've seen their rallies via Instagram and stuff, and I just want to feel the energy, and just, scope it out and experience something. So that's a bummer, but
that is a bummer. That is such a bummer. Yeah. Oh, the other thing that happened this week was Cory Booker's thing. Do we want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, like his 25-hour long speech or something.
Yeah. A bunch of records. So I was initially like really excited about it because like it was like, oh cool, someone's finally standing up. But then he like voted with Trump like the next day. And we're like I didn't I think he also wore an Israel pin on his jacket during it, which is also like, really? Like,
yeah, that's like, then what were you doing?
What was the point?
Is that you just like to talk?
It was just so maddening because I feel like this is the problem with Democrats is that they all like it's so performative. It's just pretend to like high level Democrats. It just feels like pretend, like they're not really doing anything. They're doing these performances, all wearing pink or holding up signs. They're not doing anything, and they are the ones that have any power, more power than everybody else, and it's incredibly disappointing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I did see that critique of just being like, oh, cool, typical Democrat form. They're just performing and then nothing happens, nothing changes. And so it's like, fuck, yeah. Unfortunately. So, yeah.
And you're going to miss the two that actually are trying to at least attempt to do something. So
right. Like they're the ones that have kind of taken the lead of the Democratic Party, and people are saying that like AOC was actually polling higher, and they're like, "Is she gonna run?" And it's like, "No, like
she
no,
better not," because we can't be that. I love her, but like, I know we will be cooked.
Right. So maybe for like the Senate, but not president, not yet, please. Not yet. So yeah, I still don't know who would be a good candidate for the 2028 run for the Democrat side. Like, I know Newsom is dead set on it. You can just fucking tell. And I don't think that is going to go well. So there better be some better options.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. Hopefully hopefully something happens, and all we can do is keep kind of pressing forward, I suppose. But I feel pretty good with all these protests. They looked like they were pretty big in bigger cities like New York and
Yeah.
Chicago, Boston. All looked really big.
Yeah.
I think hopefully if things like this keep going, people keep caring, hopefully something will happen. But
Yeah. Yeah. We just have to wait and see, unfortunately.
the worst.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, yeah. So anything else we noticed that was in the news that is worth talking about? I feel like I can't think anything else. Yeah.
I mean, the CDC and all of our federal organizations, FDA, all getting canned more, which is also terrifying. But
yeah.
but I think that also helped push these folks to the protests. So
yeah, that's very true. That and the tariffs. So it was just a perfect storm for some protests, but we'll see if it dies out. You know, I feel like there's always this energy and then it dies out until something else happens. I don't know. Hopefully we don't have to deal with a pandemic this time around. Oh, sorry. What?
No, that's fine. I knew there was one other thing. REI is coming into being boycotted. I heard from the drag queen Patagonia.
I don't, but yeah. What?
They're like the outdoorsy one, and they do like rock climbing in full drag and stuff like that. But recently they called out REI for bringing on these big oil executives to their board, who are interested in drilling on public lands, and which is like the opposite of like what REI usually goes for.
Isn't it supposed to be like environmentally friendly?
Yeah, exactly. So see how that goes. I do think in my opinion, it seems like these more targeted, like money based, store based boycotts are going okay.
Yeah,
relatively successful.
Yeah, I think Target has lost quite a bit. Obviously Tesla.
Yeah, and I think Amazon is even taking hits.
Possibly.
But yeah, I think that was the only other thing. So, want to start talking about what we love and hate in our own industry?
Yeah, which one should we start with? Love or hate?
Let's get the hates out of the way.
All right.
End on love.
Yeah, love's harder than hate. As we know, this is why our world is so fucked up. It's easier to hate than to love. So keep that in mind.
So what's your biggest, most hated trend right now?
Man, I would have to say, I guess a pet peeve. I guess I'll just start with, I feel like anyone seems to feel that they're qualified to coach these days, I guess you could say. Like anyone with an Instagram profile and like good aesthetics could just, post some selfies, get some clients, even if they don't really entirely know what they're doing. And, just create their own business, even if they're not necessarily qualified or helping people, because people, feeding off people's insecurities and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, I had so much imposter syndrome and still do. And I'm just like, some people just need more of that. I don't know what to say. So I think that's definitely like one thing, along with just all the misinformation, but that sometimes comes from those types of people. And I think that's like the biggest underlying thing that is my pet peeve. It's that, it's not so much that, oh, someone's new at coaching, they're going to make mistakes. Of course, that's what happens when you're new. That's how you learn. But when they're approaching things with more of this arrogant mindset of like, these are facts, this is info, that is true and 100% sure. And they're not questioning themselves or doing enough research to put proper information out there, whether it's through stuff, workouts, videos, or just plain nutrition stuff where they're just like carnivore is the best diet and it's best for everybody, like that sort of like absolutes and stuff. Because that's very confusing for people. And then more qualified coaches have to kind of unravel all of that misinformation and kind of break people away from those ideologies and just misinformation in general. So I don't enjoy that aspect of it. It's like information's at our fingertips, but so is a lot of misinformation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to go off of that, I think my biggest pet peeve is people who say that there's one method or one plan or only one way to make something work, or to have like that, just essentially think that their one diet, one fitness program is the way that can help everybody reach their goals. And I just think that kind of talks, and I guess you kind of hit on it, that talking absolutes, that like if you do my one thing you'll get the body of your dreams. And it's like, well, there's not one thing that's going to work for everybody, and there's not one plan to get you to, like, there's not one path to walk to the same place, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that really pisses me off, because I think it leads to a lot of people giving up when they don't necessarily need to give up. They just need to change it and make it work for them. So I think that really gets under my skin, and I think it really fucks with people's heads.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm trying to think of let's see. I mean, obviously there's the gimmicky weight loss stuff that's still around. I don't know if it's died down or it's just not in my feed, so I don't see it as much. I'm sure it's like in people who are just starting out and maybe they made their first like fitness search on Instagram and they're getting tons of different things from all sides. And I feel like get coaches accounts because, I'm a coach. And so information is pretty correct and nothing too much out of the ordinary. But I know there is still, like waist trainers being sold, or like detox teas or meal replacement shakes, stuff like that. Like that always just gets me riled up, because it's just setting people up for disappointment and failure, and their expectations are in the wrong spot, because it's like people are just selling bullshit to make money, and there's no actual science to back it up. It's not going to be something that helps them long term. It's just literally almost stealing from people. So that upsets me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I'll take this a different route. And I think there's a certain type of influencer, especially online, who's the type that's like, you just have to push, you just have to add more and push more and make it work. And that unwillingness to slow down at all is really rough. And like that 5 a.m. club sometimes posts shit like that that's just like a little too much. Like it's like that alpha male bullshit of no rest days, outwork everybody, blah blah blah. And it's like, yes, that works sometimes, and like it's a really cool thing to say when you're like really pushing for something. But it overall, I think people use that idea, and like, again, we're building that mountain up higher and higher to entry, right? It's just making it harder and harder to get into it, because it's making it so big, right?
Yeah. And kind of to piggyback back off of that as well, I feel like there's that, and then there's the pendulum swinging in the other direction, where it's like people are feel like they're so fragile that they can't push themselves in the gym. And it's like, oh, I don't want to hurt myself. It's like, I know you definitely don't want to hurt yourself, but you're not going to make progress either if you don't lift more than 2 pounds. So it's like, it can swing both ways for sure. And I think that's part of also like, developing some awareness of what kind of information you need for you, because people can put out general information. It's obviously not going to touch on, what everyone needs, because you can't. So it's about learning, like, what do you need in the moment? If you're a person who's type A and you have a hard time resting, probably don't follow the accounts that tell you not to rest.
Yeah.
If you struggle with resting, follow some accounts that are reminding you to take rest days and slow down and all that stuff. But it kind of takes some learning of, who you, what kind of information you need.
Absolutely. And I think the only other thing that I had on my list that I wrote down that I hate is just the term functional fitness. I understand what they're trying to say, but I just hate that that's what we call it. I need a different name for it, because I hate the fact that people think a burpee is more functional than a bench press. And like, I don't get it. Like, when are you doing burpees in regular life? Yes, maybe you squat down and you push, but like, how, I just don't understand how we're saying some things are natural and functional while other muscles are not functional. So that kind of drives me crazy. I just wish there was a different term for it, because I think it's the specific like syntax that really gets to me.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think that was born with CrossFit. Not to blame everything on CrossFit, but I remember that being their biggest thing, functional fitness. Like, the only thing that I could think of that they were referring to at the time is that they were mixing both like cardio and lifting weights simultaneously. So like, if you'll be ready for anything, like if you're being chased by something, then you need to like climb a wall. Like, I don't know.
And you happen to have a perfectly balanced 45-pound barbell. Like,
yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
how is that more functional?
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's just like, well, you can like run if you bodybuild. You can keep your cardiovascular system up. There are other ways. So like, every type of fitness is functional in some capacity. So we don't need to just label only this type of fitness to be functional.
Yeah. So I think, I know it's a silly one, but it's just it really irks me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think probably the other thing that I can think of that kind of is happening currently is, thumbs up.
Always in the most random moment.
I know. I mean, okay, it's not just currently, it's been like this for a while, but I think just how political it can be or has come to the point where you can almost tell which way someone voted by the way that they eat or whatever. Or maybe that's the problem, where people assume you can tell how someone voted by the way that you eat or live or exercise. Because it's like, oh, I mean, most people doing carnivore diet and talking about functional fitness generally lean right. Anti-vax, all that sort of thing. Then we got, intuitive eating and moderation, and using things like Ozempic being more on the left side of things. So you must be more liberal. And it's just like, why do we have to do this? I hate this. This is health, and health does not care about who you voted for. That's why it's so important to kind of follow more evidence-based things, which also a pet peeve is writing something off completely because it hasn't been studied. Because I'm all about evidence-based. I think it's important that we look at the research and all the data and weigh those into how we, help our clients. But at the same time, I think it's important not to get stuck on that and be like, well, the data doesn't support this, even though it's helping, 10 of my clients. So maybe I should tell them to stop. It's just, you have to kind of sort through, like, some things have different application or work in certain contexts, but maybe not in the context that the study was performed in. And so it's just like filters. We need to make sure we are sifting through things and really like logically thinking about how we apply things, or what is evidence and what is not. and not poo-pooing on something just because it hasn't even had the opportunity to be studied yet. Like maybe someone's been seeing a lot of benefits from some certain supplements, but it hasn't been studied widely yet. So people are poo-pooing on it for that. I don't know. It's a rough call sometimes. Obviously, we don't want to do something that's unsafe, and it's hard to know if it hasn't. Yeah. But yeah, I just think we sometimes get so stuck on rules, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that comes with two different. One, yes, I agree with you. And I think it'd be easier to make that argument maybe if things were easily studied and that like research wasn't becoming under attack, and that we didn't have to get money out of the federal government, who doesn't want to give money to do all that research. So if things were on a level playing ground and things were getting studied at the rate that we could make use of them, I think that could be an argument. Yes, but we're not in that world. And right. Number two is, I think that links back to kind of what you said earlier about like having an expert and making sure you know who you're following. Someone with experience is going to be able to help discern that. So I think when everybody says they're a fitness and weight loss expert, that's where you're going to see in the division, right? It's someone who's able to read between the lines, to filter out that stuff, is an expert in someone with experience, and having those voices understood and not mixed up with people who are just out here peddling.
Yeah. So it's like, be careful who you're following. Check credentials if you can. Not everyone's going to have their credentials like on their Instagram profile, nor do I think they need to necessarily. But it's just like, just pay attention to what kinds of things they're posting. Look for red flags. Like I think the biggest red flag is when someone always talks in absolutes or isn't able to change their mind or, be okay when admitting maybe they're wrong or talking about things they changed their mind on, because it just shows that they lead with their ego for the most part. And they're just going to double down when, maybe there's research that comes out against it, or they find out it's just not as helpful as once was, thought before. So I always have more respect for people who, one, will admit when they don't know something, or two, change their minds, because it means they have a growth mindset. They're willing to have an open mind about things. So I feel like looking for those things when you're following people is really important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
1,000%. Let's switch to what we love. You ready?
Yeah. What do you love?
I love that strength training is finally getting picked up by most people. Like, I feel like people are finally understanding that they have to strength train. I feel like we're winning the battle.
Yeah. No, legit.
I think groups of people who have never lifted before are interested in lifting and are feeling safer and more comfortable doing so. And I love it, because I truly think that strength training really does help most people.
Yeah. And finally getting past the part where, there's still some where like women are less afraid that they're going to be too bulky or look like men if they lift weights. So getting to see more women in the gym and just prioritizing strength training is really great, because it was rough going through the just cardio era.
Yeah, the just cardio and 10-pound weights. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked that we're getting there, and that people aren't as scared and are interested in doing that. So I think that's really great. That's my favorite thing.
Or
one of them.
I feel like more recently we're still getting there, but I think I like that we're having more conversations about mental health being included in health and fitness. And I think it's just more common that people are talking about it more, talking about the importance, and just kind of destigmatizing it even more so. Because I feel like even within the fitness industry for a long time, I think it was that mindset of like, don't be weak and keep pushing, and all this kind of tough I mean, especially with the men, more of like a toxic masculinity situation.
Yeah.
But I've seen, people kind of move away from it more. And I feel like even in the bodybuilding world, like Chris Bumstead, I feel like made huge strides with, being more okay with emotions, especially for men, because he's different. He's more
Yeah.
emotionally mature. He talks about his feelings. And I think he's been a great uh, example for young men. And um, perhaps some might see that as this generation being soft. Uh, but I do not. I think there's a difference between being like emotionally mature and aware versus being like soft. And I feel like it's more weak to just hold things in and not talk about it because it's vulnerable and it's scary.
Yeah, and I think also, and not to be such a bummer about it, but I think specifically in bodybuilding, a couple of suicides happened, and people kind of woke up um, to an extent. I think so. I think that changed things. I also think that like athletes in other sectors. I don't know why I said that in other sports, really taking time for their mental health, like Simone Biles in the Olympics and all that. And um, I think that helps a lot too. So
Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, I like that part. Can you think of anything else that you love at the moment?
I think this is kind of a cop out, but I do think people, and I don't know, maybe my algorithm is skewed, but uh, people eating more protein. I think it's finally an accepted thing that everybody knows now,
Yeah.
or has at least been told once.
Oh yeah.
So I like that. I like that there's more protein options for vegetarians. They're not the best non processed, but I mean, we're getting there. I feel like that's the route it's going to have to go. Is it's going to have to become popular and tasty, and then we're going to make it healthy. So at least that's what I'm hoping. But I'm
Yeah.
happy that people are eating more protein and understanding that they have to be able to reach a lot of their goals.
Yeah, for sure. So much that you're seeing it. When something's getting popular when you start seeing brands market it, with 10 grams of protein on the front, or just like everything has protein. And you're like, okay, let's not burn out on protein, guys. I love it, but let's not make it one of those things where people hate to hate.
Yeah, we don't need cheese puff protein balls. Like I saw a
Yeah.
Snickers bar the other day that was a protein Snickers bar. Like I get that where they're going with that, but like just get a protein bar. Like, do we need
Same
to do
thing.
like,
Yeah.
Yes. Also yes, but I don't know. I agree with you, but I am happy at least people are thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've got like, everything we have protein, everything now. And it can be fun, but it can be sometimes a little overload.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, yeah. I think, well, I mean, aesthetics are always going to be popular and something that is generally, whether you want to admit it or not, why people get into fitness to start. And there is nothing wrong with that. Like, seriously, the majority of people get into fitness to look a certain way. Just the truth. Okay. It's not shallow, and it generally develops into something deeper. I know it has for me, and it's something that has helped me in all areas of life. Doesn't matter how it started, but we are kind of moving away from it a little bit to at least be more focused on overall health, how it makes you feel. I mean, this kind of falls into the mental health side of things as well, but just realizing that exercising, it doesn't always mean that you have to that you have to have a certain aesthetic goal. You could exercise to just feel better, So I do like that,
Yeah.
which is cute coming from a bodybuilder, but I won't
Hey,
always be a
it's good.
bodybuilder, so you know, gotta
Absolutely.
appreciate it now.
Absolutely. I think I hit everything that I wanted to hit. Um, did you have anything else?
Um, I do like the tech that has been developed.
Um,
Like that is something, we are all more aware of fitness because everyone's got Apple Watches telling them to get their ass up every fucking hour. Even
it's
when you're
true.
like, I just stood up. Why the fuck are you telling me to stand up? Um, so we all are kind of collectively becoming more aware of activity and health and all that stuff. So that's a good thing. Um, it can also be a bad thing if you're like obsessing over stuff and when it's not the most accurate. So you have to kind of like figure out how to use it. But I just like that we're kind of including health in every aspect of things right now because we can. And technology is advancing more and more, and we're using it for positive things. And
Yeah.
um, we have more available to us now than we used to. We can order our own blood tests. Like we've got certain companies specifically, dedicated to things like, I mean, this is controversial in itself, but we've got like continuous glucose monitor people who are trying to talk about metabolic health, and I know that is a massive like controversy. Please do not cancel me. I'm not saying everyone needs to do that, but it's just like there's always health in mind, and I like that. So
Yes.
yeah,
No, I do like that. It is
uh,
good. It feels like the world is trying, maybe,
yeah.
to think about.
Even if even if there's some missteps, like it's still kind of in the right direction, as
Absolutely.
long as we're not like selling waist trainers and that bullshit. Like that stuff needs to just die. But there's more things ahead, and even those things like the Aura rings and the whoops, because it is paying attention to recovery, which does impact your mental health. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways,
Absolutely.
I think I think that's it.
All right. Well, I think we're probably gonna not have an episode next week. Cody and I, the lab, is going to Vegas um,
To party.
next week already. Yeah, to not drink at all. Um,
Or
but
gamble.
we're going to have a fitness conference and learn more, talk with colleagues, which is very exciting. But so we'll miss you all, but hang out with us on Instagram and
Yeah.
Discord.
Yeah. We'll hopefully maybe we'll be updating some stuff on the Instagram. So follow us there, and yeah, Discord. Uh Join Discord if you have not. That is one thing I forgot to mention that I love about the fitness industry currently is the community.
Yeah.
um so that's always a good part. You get to have some like-minded people from all walks of life. Sometimes it can get heated in political climates, how it is, but uh, generally you find your people still like in the Discord. It never gets heated there if you're worried. By the way,
Yeah, it doesn't.
we're good there. So yeah, join all that. And did you
Absolutely.
have?
I have the power talk.
Yeah,
Yes. So today it's short and sweet. Struggle is the precondition for growth, and that's from Napoleon Hill. I really like that because I think it makes the struggle matter a little bit more. If you know that what you're gonna get through is gonna make you different, make you stronger, make you better, make you more of who shows up and who accomplishes things. I think it makes it more worth it if you know it's gonna make you grow.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, sometimes you don't know, but it's like when you look back, when did you have the most growth in life? It's usually after a time that you struggled the most.
Most.
Yeah, which sucks.
Absolutely.
I think I
It
remember
does suck.
last year just being like, I'm just gonna grow from this. Like that's how you get through shit sometimes.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like your little treat at the end of the shitty sit soup.
Yep, just growing pains is all.
Growing pains. But all right. So that's what I have for us. Let's keep growing. Talk to y'all later.
Peace out.